The US media's reputation went up in flames with Donald Trump's victory. The almost universal opinion, based on polling and other evidence, was that he wouldn't win and couldn't win.
I know of no one who really got it right, no one who really saw this coming. We were all in it together. We all got it wrong.
Not only that, a majority of titles said he shouldn't win. Hillary Clinton received the endorsement of 229 daily and 131 weekly publications. In contrast, Donald Trump just received the endorsement of 9 daily and 4 weekly publications. No previous candidate could have sustained that level of media hostility from the traditional media and gone on to triumph.
If you want an example, think what he said about the Pope. For a couple of days, Trump blasted the Pope. Now, if Jeb Bush, say, for instance, had said even half those things, we would all now be saying, well, look, Jeb could probably have been president, but why on earth did he say that stuff about the Pope? And Trump just had the ability, which is rare in some ways, to convince people that, you know, he would sound off about this and then sound off about that, and he wasn't judged by the same standards as other people, and that's interesting.
But newspapers are the past. 62% of Americans now get their news from social media, predominantly Facebook, and many of them don't see any other news sources at all. Just 15% of Facebook users also engage with print media, just 23% with the network nightly news bulletins. It's true that some of what people see on Facebook may have originated from a traditional newspaper or TV program, but increasingly it's not. Facebook selects what to show you, not based on whether it's from a reputable source or an important story, but whether it thinks that you'll be interested in it, whether it's been shared by people you know. And what people share may be, and often is, partial, incomplete, or sometimes downright fake.
Stories about how Hillary Clinton is a Satan worshiper, and stories about how the Pope has endorsed Donald Trump. And because people who already connect with Donald Trump connect with these stories, they share them at very large numbers. That story I mentioned about Donald Trump being endorsed by Pope Francis, a false story, was shared over 800,000 times on Facebook.
What's sometimes not appreciated in the UK is how big a star Donald Trump was before he went into politics. His show The Apprentice took over the slot vacated by Friends, and before that, Frasier. He was getting primetime audiences of 30 million.
I get bigger crowds than they do. It's true. I get far bigger crowds.
He used his profile to build a massive social media following. On Twitter, his followers rapidly outgrew Hillary Clinton's. It's estimated that his campaign only had to spend half as much per vote as hers. Another factor is how geographically remote the traditional media has become from many American voters.
You know, as the newspaper business in the United States and in other countries has been in decline, and we've moved from print to digital, what we've really seen is a media industry that is shifting from being relatively evenly distributed geographically across the country to it being very focused and centered in New York and DC and maybe a few other cities. So I think there's an argument to be made that the distance between the average Trump voter, who probably doesn't live in New York or Washington or a major city, and the media that is being produced by traditional outlets, there's a gap there. And I think what filled that gap was social media.
And most of all,
big traditional media outlets now have a huge challenge in front of them, not only to attempt to reconnect with huge numbers of Americans who mistrust them, but also, after how wrong many called this election, to show that they're worth listening to.